From the CBS Bay Area studios, this is KPIX 5 News.
Welcome back to KPIX 5 this morning. Time now is about 6:29. I'm Melissa Kane.
Good morning, I'm Devin Fehely.
New this morning, 2 people are dead after a crash in San Francisco. The 2-car collision happened at about 1:15 a.m. at 3rd Street and Paul Avenue. One man was pronounced dead at the scene, and a woman was brought to a hospital where she later died. And at this point, San Francisco police will not confirm any other details.
Also new this morning, officials at Clusterfest are speaking out after a highly anticipated comedy show in San Francisco left a lot of people not laughing. Last night, lines were out the door to see headliner stand-up comic John Mulaney at the Bill Graham Auditorium. Some people we spoke to said they waited 4 hours and still didn't get inside.
I spent $150. I expected to get in everywhere. I thought I was buying a ticket to all of the events. I've had to wait in line the entire time. I have not seen a single act. I've been in line for 4.5 hours. That's a lot of money for a lot of waiting.
Mulaney performed 2 sets, and there were reportedly plenty of seats open for that second act. Some people took to social media asking organizers to, quote, get it together. Clusterfest tweeted back to one user just after midnight saying, quote, we hear you. We tried some new things this year and still have some work to do. Thank you for your feedback and patience. We look forward to seeing you tomorrow.
And folks gathered in San Mateo County yesterday to say goodbye to the cab driver who was found stabbed to death along Skyline Boulevard. 32-year-old Abdulmalek Nasher is one of 2 murder victims found in the area this week. Dozens of friends and loved ones packed a mosque in South San Francisco yesterday to remember Nasher. He immigrated to the U.S. from Yemen 12 years ago, and he leaves behind a wife and a 4-year-old daughter. His body was found on Monday night on Skyline Boulevard north of Skylonda. A friend says a strange man called Nasher's cab company the night before, saying he wanted to leave his BMW along Skyline Boulevard. And family members believe that Nasher and the other victim were lured to the area by their killer. The victims were murdered just 24 hours apart. 26-year-old Malik Desoki of Pacifica has now been charged with their murders, although a motive remains unclear.
This morning, authorities in San Mateo County are searching for a pair of burglary suspects. Hillsborough police say the 2 men broke into a home on Darrell Road Friday night. Now, at first, the suspect in the white cap knocks on the door. He waits around, and soon after, another man joins him. Police say the men broke into the home by breaking a window. It's unclear exactly what they took, but if you recognize the suspects, police want to hear from you. A vigil is set to get underway later today for a police officer in Sacramento killed in the line of duty. This comes as police now say the officer who was ambushed by a gunman during a domestic violence incident had no chance of surviving her wounds. Police released this body camera video of the initial shots fired at officers. Officer Tara O'Sullivan was not seen in the body cam video, was hit by rifle blasts and died. Altogether, police now say that 5 officers were at the scene when the first shots were fired.
The officers were essentially ambushed by the suspect, and the result was him murdering one of our community's police officers.
Photos released by police show the weapons used against the officers, including 2 assault rifles, 1 shotgun, and 1 handgun. Police also released a photo of the suspect's barricaded door to his home. Police also say that this suspect was initially using security cameras set up outside his home to watch officers' movements. Police were able to disable those cameras when they made the rescue of Officer Sullivan using an armored vehicle. The vigil in memory of Officer Sullivan is set for 8 o'clock tonight at our alma mater, Sacramento State University.
And turning now to Campaign 2020, 21 contenders competing for the Democratic presidential nomination have spent the weekend in South Carolina. That's one of the first states to hold primary elections next year. Former Vice President Joe Biden, who's the current frontrunner, was among those who spoke at the party's state convention in Columbia. And among the topics, climate change.
My plan calls for doubling offshore wind energy by 2030, providing $400 billion in the next 10 years for clean energy research and innovation, twice as much as we spent to going to the moon.
Because of the large number of candidates, each of their speeches was limited to 7 minutes.
President Trump is delaying immigration raids by federal agents that were supposed to take place today. The president posted on Twitter yesterday that he delayed the deportation of undocumented immigrants by 2 weeks so that Democrats and Republicans could find a solution for problems at the southern border. Oakland Mayor Libby Schaaf says she is put off by the rhetoric from the commander-in-chief.
I am hopeful that some progress can be made in 2 weeks. This president does not help. His racist and divisive invective is just poisoning political dialogue.
The Associated Press reports the operation was also delayed because the details leaked to the media jeopardized officer safety. ICE reportedly plans to arrest and deport about 2,000 migrant families with court-ordered removals.
A charity soccer event for young undocumented immigrants went ahead as scheduled in Atherton yesterday. 16 teams vied for a championship at the event, whose name translates into Soccer with Heart. Many of the players are unaccompanied minors who have come to America without their families. Organizers from Catholic Charities say that if there had been any federal raids, the rights of the kids would have been protected.
We have law enforcement playing with us today. We have the California Highway Patrol, we have the Sheriff Department, the Redwood City PD is here with us. And so they knew that they were going to be here and that we were going to be with them, supporting them. And thank God they all showed up, ready to play, ready to have fun.
The money raised will help to pay for legal assistance and social services for the minors.
A man is under arrest in San Francisco suspected of murder. Police found the victim and suspect in 2 different neighborhoods about 3 miles apart. Police acted on a tip yesterday and went to a home on Alvarado Street in Noe Valley. Inside, they found a woman dead. She has not yet been identified. Officers also showed up on Aptos Avenue and Balboa Terrace. That's where they arrested the suspect. This was after another man walked into the police station and said his friend may have killed someone. So far, there is no word on a possible motive or what the relationship was between the suspect and the victim.
This morning, we're learning that a skydiving plane that crashed in Hawaii was also involved in a midair incident 3 years ago in Contra Costa County. The AP reports that back in 2016 near Byron, the Beechcraft King airplane stalled 3 times and spun repeatedly. And for their safety, 14 skydivers aboard had to jump earlier than planned. An NTSB investigation into that incident blamed pilot error. Meanwhile, this morning, new cell phone video shows the fiery wreckage just moments after the plane crashed during a skydiving excursion on Oahu's North Shore on Friday. That killed 11 people. Among those killed were Larry LeMaster. He's an Army veteran and a skydiving instructor, and his wife says he died doing what he loved. An investigation is underway to figure out exactly what went wrong with this incident.
BART is considering a plan to add a shuttle in Contra Costa County that would take homeless passengers to a shelter at the end of the night. This is in response to a growing number of homeless people who ride the last train to the end of the line at the Pittsburgh Bay Point station. BART says that homeless people get off that train at about 1:20 a.m. most nights and then sleep at the station or wander to nearby storefronts until train service starts up a few hours later. Now, if this plan is approved, homeless people would be shuttled to the nearest county shelter about 5 miles away in Concord. BART already shuttles people to shelters at the end of the night from SFO and the Fremont station.
And new concerns this morning after a fire ripped through a business in Alameda County. Firefighters are now worried that the building on East 14th Street in San Leandro could collapse. The fire damaged an upholstery ink store Friday night. 7 people were displaced, including some who were living in a duplex behind that shop. A restaurant and a clothing store were also damaged.
They won't let us go inside the building at all. So anything that we need, we have to literally write it down right now, and they have to go find it for us, so we can't get in there. So we just sitting here. We're just sitting here. Just waiting. Everybody been asleep over there across the street all night, just pretty much watching what they was doing, watching our home.
The cause of the fire is under investigation.
Here's a look at your 7-day forecast. A couple of things stand out. First of all, the 94 degrees for inland locations today. It's going to be another hot one for inland spots and relatively warm for the rest of us. And then look at the cool down. By the time we get to the middle of this week, we'll be back in the upper 70s inland. Not bad.
Yeah, I like the temperatures by Wednesday. Hot now, but I like it when it kind of gets a little more moderate.
Yes. It'll take a few days to notice. I think by tomorrow we've noticed it's gotten a little better, but by Wednesday you won't miss it.
All right. Well, thank you so much for joining us this morning.